Hi, I'm a developer.
And I'm from IT operations.
Old tools and processes used to keep us siloed.
Then we switched to Jira Service Management from Atlassian. Now we can respond to requests faster, manage change, and have better visibility into our work.
Yeah, thanks to Jira Service Management, we now have more free time.
So we started a band.
A heavy metal band. With Jira Service Management powering service delivery, we have more time to rock.
Amp up your service delivery. Learn more at Atlassian.com/Jira Service Management.
Just quieten down, baby.
Per capita export value.
Libraries! Minister, are you embarrassed by your behavior today? There's a lot of bleeding hearts around.
Do you have the fortitude or the gonads to stand up and come across here and say that to me, you son of a bitch?
Just watch me.
He certainly went too far, Mr. Speaker, when I saw him stick his tongue out.
Contemptuous disregard.
More than a slab of bacon talking here.
The disappointment you also feel is my responsibility.
I lost my temper.
What is the nature of your thoughts?
The word was F-A-R-T.
Hello and welcome to Canadian Politics is Boring. I am Reese. This is Jesse.
Hello.
And this is the show.
That's the voice I put on when I'm trying to impress a woman. Hello.
Hi, it's me.
See, that's just a stupid voice, Reese. I don't think that would work on anybody.
It'll never work. Anyway, and this is the podcast, the politics show for people who hate politics and probably going to learn about random shit that isn't politics anyway.
Right, yeah.
Or something.
I, honest to God, have no idea who our demographic is. Like, you made the show
cool
because
dudes.
you thought
Cool
it was
dudes.
funny. You genuinely thought it was funny that I fucking hated politics and found it boring. And you're like, let's run with that. I'm like, no. And then we built a show around it. And I have no idea who listens. I know we have both right-wing and left-wing leaning people in Canada and around the world who listen. And like, some of them are like, who was it? We got someone
called us deluded liberals, but they still like us.
Yeah, and they were like someone was trying to get us to be more right-winged and less liberal, less left, like liberal moaner losers or whatever. Like, they were really insulting. And I'm like, okay, so let's.
Was that the Instagram person? They said,
I think,
we should stop
but it was like
being woke or whatever.
Yeah, but like, he was genuinely trying to help us, he said. So I was like, that's nice. I don't know. I don't understand, but it's nice. Like,
listen, I really,
thank you.
I would like the show. I can't listen. All I need you to do is change your entire belief structure that was imprinted on you during your entire life and experiences. Just change that, and I'll listen. Easy.
I was talking to this the other day with someone else. I kind of have this belief about people. It's after watching gulls and crows. Gulls, like seagulls, which apparently are not called seagulls; they're just gulls, which I was reading
from the sea.
Yes, gulls. Yes, there's gulls and crows, and just watching them after feeding them. Gulls, if you put down food, gulls will swoop in and they'll take everything. They will eat everything as quickly as not humanly possible, as birdly possible. Vacuuming it up,
possible,
as birdly possible. Right? They'll just suck it up. They won't care. They'll like. All for themselves, all for just as much as that one bird can take. And it's just awful to watch. Whereas crows work together as a group, right? They signal to one another. If one crow sees food being put out, they'll call to the other crows to come. They'll keep watch while other crows go down.
Yeah, they mourn the death of loved ones as well.
Yeah. So
and they really like true crime podcasts.
Well, I won't.
So human.
I'll try my best to keep this short. But here's where my thought went on this, which is like kind
of
like
doing.
I'm good. I'm talking about evolution a little bit.
Okay.
So, and I get like, so I think like, is one better than the other was what evolution kind of like, that's an incredible simplification of like, what's better, what works, what survives, etc. So crows is a type of mentality, which is like, it's better for the group if we look out for one another, and we'll see how that pans out in the history of crows. And with gulls, it's better if I look out for me and only me as quickly as humanly birdly possible, and we'll see how that pans out.
Is this your definition of like left and right ring? Are you a gull or a crow?
Well, kind of, yeah. So, like, I mean, it's a really crude sort of description, but like, I believe
what
that
would a centrist be, like a woodpecker.
Well, hear me out here. I believe that there are mentalities, okay? And one of the mentalities is we need to look out for the group, the collective good, our neighbors, strangers that we don't know, because we're all in this together. And that means kind of sacrificing our own personal good for the betterment of the group, the neighbors, the tribe, the crowd, the everything, the town, the village.
The murder of crows.
Yes,
That's the collective term for a group of crows.
For the murder. Yes, thank you. We're good for the murder. And the other mentality is I need to look out for me and only me as quickly as
I need to shit on a car from 100 meters above.
Yes. So, and I'm wondering, I think if both of these mindsets think like in their heads, they're like, why doesn't everybody think like this? This is obviously the best way of thinking. And they like both people genuinely believe this and think the other people are ludicrous and totally in the wrong. And why can't they just see our point of view? Take care of yourself, fuck everyone else, and then we'll just get together afterwards or whatever. Like, and then like, I don't know, and we spend so much time trying to convince the other people to think like us because we believe it's the only way of thinking.
So are you saying that if we can get a gull to fuck a crow, we'll have world peace?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Reese. Thank you very much. Yeah.
People come here for answers. Anyway,
so I'm not saying one way is better than the other. I'm saying that I'm wondering if these sorts of mentalities exist in sort of like this like a little kind of echo chamber where they believe truly believe it is the only way of thinking, and I must spend my entire life convincing other people to think like I do. But
also as well, that's why it's important to help other people, because if they've never
that's one sort of mindset though, isn't it, Reese?
But if they've never been helped, then they don't think anyone wants to help each other, which is why you should go out your way to help strangers, because that could be the thing they go, oh no, maybe I am part of a wider network of community and human beings.
See, you're part of that you're part of that mindset that wants to convince other people.
You can change the world one nice gesture at a time.
Fuck that.
Pushing, helping someone change
or one nose punch at a time. Yeah.
Or like
I say the opposite. Just go out and pick one random person and just punch them straight in the nose.
And then scream at them, you're alone in the universe. Anyway.
Gull. Yeah, Gulls versus crows. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, but
in my head now, they're two street gangs. A left-wing and a right-wing street gang. And they call themselves the Gulls and the Crows.
Like West Side Story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A really unthreatening street gang because they dance.
I would like to have a little ending on this so that I don't alienate everybody. I do believe that both mentalities need to exist. We need to have the mentality of take care of yourself first so that you can better take care of your family, your friends, your neighbors, etc. And if you do not look out for number one, your mental health, your physical health, your environment, your home, then it doesn't matter how much you want to help other people. If you yourself are a crumbling mass of horrible depression and poverty, then you can't help anybody. So yes, you need to look after yourself. You have to. That is kind of pertinent. But if you just take that and run with it and never look after other people, then you'll kind of go to the extreme. And the opposite is, yes, we need to look after our neighbors, our friends, our families, the village, our town, et cetera, et cetera. But if you never look after yourself, you will become a crumbling heap of that's just kind of taken advantage of by other people, by gulls, et cetera, et cetera. So both mentalities need to exist. And we need to have more mediators in the middle to kind of like rein us in and show us, like you, Reese.
I just realized that we're nearly 10 minutes in and we're still talking about gulls and crows.
Thanks a lot for listening, everyone. Talk to you next time. Yeah.
Jesse's gull and crows theory. Do you want to talk about a thing, or should we just riff on this for another 10 minutes and go home?
Yeah, tell me a thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Tell me a thing. Okay. Oh God. Okay. So this episode is not. You'd be surprised to hear. It's not called Gulls and Crows. It's called Gulls versus Crows. It's called When Stephen Harper Controlled Science. Now, I thought this is a good topic. You like science, and you seem. I think you're better at science and medicine than I am in terms of talking about it. You seem informed. So I thought.
Before we get into that, okay.
What bird are we going to talk about now?
No.
Politics of an emu?
No, we got some SpeakPipe messages. I say we just play that now and take a listen.
What?
I'm adding that in case we get messages so
cool.
that you can. So
that was great. Thank you. Anyway. So we're now 11 minutes in. This episode is when Stephen Harper controlled science. So Stevie Harps,
little Stevie Harps, yeah.
Well, he was in power as prime minister in 2006, and he won a majority in 2011, and he was given a good mandate to rule. And one of his first steps was to create restrictions on what government scientists could talk about.
Oh my God! No, I remember this.
Yeah.
So, I fucking remember this. This is insane. I don't remember details. I just kind of remember that.
So some of this is hilarious. So it wasn't at the time, but looking back, it's actually probably quite terrifying if you're a scientist. But so he wanted Canada to become an energy superpower, and part of helping kind of the go build that meant controlling the narrative on science and what was considered okay to talk about for scientists. So obviously climate change science and environmental science were a big barrier to the ambition of becoming an energy superpower. So
right, yeah, if you pay attention to the science, you have a really difficult time making money selling oil.
Yeah,
not that difficult, to tell you the truth. Honest to God, it looks really easy. But
it led to things like them closing down oceanic research libraries, which inherently don't sound like a bad thing. I don't know. I've never been to an oceanic research library, but I don't. It sounds like you need them. And also, they tried to.
They're very helpful.
They defunded research stations that were like studying space winds, and. But it went from just talking about.
I might kind of get behind that. That's fine.
Yeah,
like who the fuck needs space? More research on space winds, like
Space Wind. Yeah, it sounds like a great TV show. Space Wind 2088.
There was a cartoon in the 80s. I'm not making this up, about like solar. Like space racers, and like there's like you'd be astronauts in space,
like the solar sails and things.
Yeah, it'd be like you'd have like a ship, like an actual ship that you'd in the ocean, but in space, and you'd unfurl your sails, and then solar winds would hit it, and by the end of the show, they moved like 20 feet. It was enthralling. It was So
we're gonna go from this floaty dark spot to this floaty dark spot. But also it was weird because it wasn't just stuff that affected the plan to be an energy superpower. It was also just random science got pulled into this. So
it's not surprising. It's not like fucking governments do whatever the fuck they want and then justify it later. This is happening for decades. This is like, yeah.
Hi, I'm a developer.
And I'm from IT operations.
Old tools and processes used to keep us siloed.
Then we switched to Jira Service Management from Atlassian. Now we can respond to requests faster, manage change, and have better visibility into our work.
Yeah, thanks to Jira Service Management, we now have more free time.
So we started a band.
A heavy metal band. With Jira Service Management powering service delivery, we have more time to rock.
Amp up your service delivery. Learn more at Atlassian.com/Jira Service Management.
So there was a scientist called Max Bothwell. I think he was a government scientist with Environment Canada, and he was a biologist. And he had this very uncontroversial work studying microscopic algae that formed on rocks in streams that was known as rock snot. And that was disgusting. That was his field of research. He was kind of looking into rock snot. And if you wanted to talk to a journalist, and this happened, a journalist wanted to speak to you, go, hey, let's find out about your interest in research about this kind of algae. So first of all, he had to speak to the special media control center that dealt with all media requests. And then the media
I remember this. Yes.
The media relations staffers were middlemen, and they would modify the message to make it, how can we make this rock snot more politically advantageous to our government?
I did know that.
Yeah, so they were like, how can we make Stephen look good in this? How about we say that rock snot isn't an algae, it's actually just all of Stephen's snot. Or something. I don't know.
He is the spawn of Satan. Like,
exactly.
He is the worst prime minister we've ever had.
From now on, all rock snot will be called Harper Jizz.
I mean, like,
I
don't know how often that's going to come up in conversation.
I wouldn't last long in that department. So anyway.
Thank God.
And they were told in kind of very clear terms that they would be dismissed if they talked directly to the press. Everything had to be kind of massaged through the control center. And everything had to be written, like all the questions had to be submitted in advance, and the answers from the scientists had to be written and passed through there as well. For Bothwell, it ended up being such a laborious process just trying to have a conversation about his work that there were 110 pages of emails between 16 different communication staff.
Jesus.
So what it meant was it was almost no point talking to journalists. It became so much of a headache that it wasn't worth doing. And then he got a call from a radio station saying that they would like to they'd like to interview him on the radio about his research, which is great. If you're a scientist, like to go, hey, we can teach the public about what we do and talk about this. He said he was going to do it. But
about rock snot.
Yeah, just to talk about the research. But the media control staffers wanted to be listening in like North Korean spies on the conversation.
What?
To monitor the conversation and control.
Why would they care so much about rock snot?
I know, and the
no, like seriously, was it a danger to like little Stevie Harps making money on big oil?
I guess they were just doing their job. They were told to wield political influence over all scientific communications. So
that's insane.
So the journalists at the CBC just said, no, we're not doing we don't agree to those terms. That's not like journalism. So we're not. Otherwise, we just become a mouthpiece for the government. So they did.
Good for them. Fucking A.
In the end. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, thank God.
So there was another scientist called Scott Dallimore who was doing research into a flood that happened in northern Canada 13,000 years ago, and he was basically had the same experience. So he missed out on an opportunity and there was a deadline to his research being reported on. And what happened was that the media department, or the staffers in the media department, just took their time. So he missed the deadline. So they didn't. I don't know how they were like. How can we make a flood that happened 13,000 years ago look good for Stephen?
Oh my God!
Christina Miller was denied the right to speak to the media, or was blocked from speaking to the media because she had research suggesting that viral infections might be linked to higher salmon mortality. Again, that would look really bad for Stephen.
This shit actually happened? Are you serious?
Yes,
they weren't. Oh wow. Okay.
And then there was another scientist called Margaret Monroe, and she studied that radiation. She'd basically done some research into radiation from the earthquake that happened in Japan that damaged the nuclear power plant. And again, she wasn't allowed to talk about it. Yeah, so it was just.
But how do they stop them? This isn't a dictatorship. Like, we're Canada.
Because they were employed by the government, so they knew that if they did talk about their research. And you think about this: if you've been doing scientific research for like a decade, and you've been like kneeling in a pond for 3 years. And then they go, hey, by the way, if you talk about this without us controlling it, you'll lose all of this, all that effort and energy and research you've done. Then you end up, you're gonna lose your job. So it's a hell of a lot of pressure when you've if that's your life's work and also your source of income, then it's easy for them to wield that influence on you.
Fucking Jesus Christ. it's depressing. This isn't funny. This is just sad as fuck.
He did lose the election eventually, so he's not prime minister anymore. So
thank God.
So there was another one. It was this. I've got there's so many of them. So there was a researcher.
I'm not advocating violence, but I am advocating a punch to the nose. If someone sees him, can they just punch him in the nose? Just you can tell him it's from me. That's fine. Like
there was another researcher who was doing the Canadian Shark Research Laboratory, and they we're talking about people like shark stories. The public are interested in shark stories, and they found that even like the most trivial topics were impossible to communicate about. So they actually in 2014 they'd done groundbreaking research into determining how to work out the age of crustaceans like lobster, shrimp, and crabs, and it was a really good news story because it meant they could assess fish stocks, and like it was a really good scientific breakthrough. It would make Canada's research look good, and it had like economic impact and like relevance to the fishing industry and everything here. It had nothing to do with climate change or any of those, the oil or anything at all. And they were kind of like blocked for about 2 months. Nobody even bothered replying to them to let them know whether they could talk about it, and they were getting chased by US news outlets, American news outlets, because they were like, "Hey, this is if this science is relevant to the entire world," it was just barrier after barrier after barrier.
Wow, because it was science. I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
I think
science.
Like little Stevie Harps, he looked at oil as like oil good, science bad, and like that big monster in Labyrinth sort of thing. And like anything to do with science might take his money away.
But then what happened was one of the scientists rebelled. This scientist called Campana. I can't find their first name in my notes, so I do apologize if I'm not giving the person full credit. But there was a great white shark followed a kayaker for a while in America. And
Jesus.
As a shark expert.
Terrifying.
I know, but it was a news story. It was like, hey, kayaker followed by shark, great white shark. And the scientist was like, hey, I'm a shark expert. And he was interviewed on the news and didn't bother getting permission. And the quote said, there was no implications for Canada whatsoever and no conceivable way that this could embarrass the government. But they received a letter of discipline and a threat of severe punishment upon a second infraction.
Wow.
It's like, hey, I'm a shark expert. Yeah, sharks follow kayaks all the time. They look like donuts or whatever. I don't know.
So, hold on. What? That's fucking insane. That's insane.
I know.
There's no way that would hold. If you, like they couldn't do anything. A second infraction, what would happen? He'd go to jail for talking about sharks? Like, no fucking way. There's no way.
Yeah.
That would not fly in Canada. It wouldn't. Like...
But then one of the most sinister ones
but honestly, God, think if someone, it's like, no, fuck you, I'm talking about sharks as much as I fucking want, and the government kind of like, I don't know, Stephen Harper punished him somehow. I don't even know how that would go down. How would that fucking go down? Without the public hearing about it, without like public outcry, without like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it came out afterwards, and I think it was, it became widely known because you can't do this on a wide scale without people finding out and talking about it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But I think one of the worst was the Polar Environment Atmospheric Research Lab. They pulled its funding, and also the Experimental Lakes area, which was one of the most important facilities for tracking long-term effects of climate change and pollutants on freshwater ecosystems.
I mean, it just kind of sounds like Harper's like, in general, actually afraid of knowledge, things that he can learn or that other people could learn. Like, just in general, it's bad,
but people
terrifying to him.
And people did push back on that. So what happened was,
like, his brain is too big. He can't have anything else go into it because it's hurting inside of his skull. It's pushing up against the insides of his tiny little head. And he's like, no more information. I'm good. Thank you. No more. I'm okay. Thank you. My brain is full. It's in that Far Cry cartoon.
There we go. Perfect.
That's what you say to me when you don't know what to say.
I know. Yeah. Well done. Well done, everyone. But people did push back, and in the end, the government did didn't cut loads of money from the Lakes Place experimental lakes area, the ELA. So eventually, like, there was pushback, and people were saying that they would like try and fund it privately, and the government couldn't shut it down. So and then he did lose the election. I think how much of a part it's played in it, I don't know, but generally speaking, I imagine if you piss off every scientist in Canada, they got friends. They're going to talk to people. I've seen Big Bang Theory. They've probably got at least 3 friends.
Right. Well, that might be stretching it. But.
Yeah. So there we go. So yeah, so that was the story of big Stephen Harper controlling science for nefarious purposes.
I feel like we could come up with a better title.
Steve Jizz?
Nope. Absolutely not. It's not happening.
Stephen Harper hates science.
That's kind of on the nose.
Well, you have to be on the nose these days.
Can we make it like a Harry Potter title?
Stephen Harper and the Chamber of Science.
Well, that's not bad. All right. Yeah,
Stephen
cool.
Harper and the Quest for the Crystal Skull.
That's totally different movie altogether.
Stephen Harper and the Temple of Doom.
Okay, now you're just
Stephen
naming
Harper.
You're just naming Indiana Jones movies. It's
Stephen Harper, The Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, I think it's time to end this now. Thank you very much.
I'm calling it that.
Just randomly naming movies and putting Stephen Harper at the beginning of it. Yeah.
Stephen Harper, Revenge of the Sith. That's what it means. So yeah, call to action is go on our Instagram and
I knew it. I knew you were going to say Instagram.
Like every post.
It's been a while since you've mentioned our Instagram.
I think it's come back around. So
okay, it's time, is it? All right. Like every single one of our posts, and you'll win nothing.
You'll get, like everyone, if somebody goes on our Instagram and likes every single post, we'll know because we'll see who it is, and you'll get a special prize from us.
What the fuck is it? The special prize? I'm going to leave this to you, man. I'm not touching this.
Maybe I don't know. We'll think of something, but if you do it, you'll get a special.
You were going to forget this 5 minutes after you hit stop. This is
no. A unique prize that cannot be replicated.
Oh, God. Reese will say your name inside of a burp.
Yeah, if you want.
Okay. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
It's rock snot.